One, two.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 movie soundtracks of all time.
Blue Swede, 1973, that song belongs to me!
For this list, we're ranking the most iconic, influential, and enduring collections of songs ever compiled for major motion pictures. We'll be talking about movie scores themselves another day. What's your favorite movie soundtrack? Let us know in the comments. Number 20, Shrek. To paraphrase Smash Mouth, somebody once told us that the first Shrek film had an awesome soundtrack, and they were not kidding.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
This animated classic got a blend of trending pop hits of the day and a retro vibe to accompany the movie's events.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Throughout the film, we got classics like Hallelujah and the aforementioned Smash Mouth covering vintage tracks. What also made the songs memorable was how well they were tied into key moments of the plot.
My beloved monster and me, we go everywhere together.
The Shrek soundtrack's variety of songs and their memorable positions in the story made us eager to listen to every song again and again. Instead of coming off as dated, this selection of tracks is now timeless and entertaining.
And then I saw her face, I'm a believer.
Number 19, The Crow. If you were around in the 90s, The Crow soundtrack will definitely fill you with nostalgia for the alternative hits of the era. This 1994 OST has a great selection of industrial, nu metal, and goth sounds. The Crow notably features huge artists such as Nine Inch Nails and Pantera covering bands who influenced them, like Joy Division and Poison Idea. Additionally, there's an outstanding Cure song titled Burn that was written specifically for this soundtrack. All these songs match the gloomy and contemplative tone of this dark superhero film. If there ever was an OST that perfectly encapsulated the era and the aesthetic of its hero at the same time, it's this one. Number 18, The Wedding Singer.
Well, I have a microphone and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
Collecting some of the best remembered and catchiest tunes from the 1980s, The Wedding Singer remained true to the excess of that era by releasing not one, but 2 soundtrack albums. Throwing in a few original songs from the film alongside a bevy of classic 80s tunes, the romantic comedy managed to entrance music fans that grew up with this music, as well as new disciples alike. The only thing we wish they'd included that didn't make the cut was Alexis Arquette's character's rendition of Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? On second thought, maybe not.
Do you really want to hurt me?
Number 17, Almost Famous. When you make a film that focuses on a young man whose life is defined and changed by his passion for music, it's safe to say that you need to ensure the music in it lives up to that lofty vision. Lucky for the filmmakers and us, director Cameron Crowe lived an amazing life, and his connections in the rock world were rock solid.
I can't play with you no more.
The filmmaker featured the music of his awesome friends. Even Led Zeppelin, a band that was notoriously stingy with music rights at the time, contributed. Thanks to their work and a few originals penned by music legends, this Grammy-winning album truly rocked. Number 16, The Bodyguard. The soundtrack for The Bodyguard has sold over 10 million copies. And there's a good reason why this OST has been certified diamond by the Recording Industry Association of America. The late, great Whitney Houston put her heart and soul into her cover of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You. While that track was certainly the selling point, the rest of the album is also chock full of great tunes.
And I will always love you.
Every song from the powerful I Have Nothing to I'm Every Woman helped make this movie soundtrack a staple in many CD players in the 90s.
I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go.
Whitney Houston's talent and passion pulled this collaborative and stunning project together. Number 15, Drive.
Do you remember this?
If you're the music supervisor assigned to put together what songs should accompany a unique film like Drive, you have a pretty heavy responsibility.
If I drive for you, you get your money. You tell me where we start, where we're going afterwards. I give you 5 minutes when we get there.
As the movie doesn't buy into traditional dynamics of heroes and villains, the decision to go with a morally ambiguous sound was perfect.
And a real hero, real human being.
The synth-heavy music gives the neo-noir crime thriller a driving force without taking sides. All the tracks are incredibly atmospheric and fun to listen to. If songs like Night Call don't get you to bop your head, we don't know what will.
I'm giving you a night call, tell you how I feel.
Peaking at 31 on the Billboard 200 and charting all over the world, this Cliff Martinez-dominated album fit its film perfectly.
New day.
Number 14, The Blues Brothers.
What do you say we set up for a sound check?
After Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi gained traction as the Blues Brothers on Saturday Night Live, they got an entertaining major motion picture with an equally spectacular soundtrack.
Here we go, bend over, let me see you shake your tail feather. Bend over, let me see you shake your tail feather.
Since Aykroyd and Belushi actually recorded and toured under the Blues Brothers name, they knew exactly what audiences wanted to hear. The soundtrack features a selection of great covers and standards. Highlights include spectacular versions of Minnie the Moocher, Jailhouse Rock, and Gimme Some Lovin'.
Ain't no Hank Williams song.
Thanks to careful curation, the soundtrack works as a great time capsule for popular blues sounds of the time. It all comes together on an album that sounds as fresh today as it did back in 1980. Number 13, American Graffiti. The poster for American Graffiti asks its audience, where were you in '62? So it's fitting that the vinyl soundtrack ensured listeners were brought back to an old school headspace. American Graffiti features the creme de la creme of doo-wop, pop, and soul. It's an enduring slice of nostalgia that will hit those who remember the era with visions of sock hops, drive-ins, and rock and roll. And it'll feel like stepping into a time machine for younger audiences who find it today. Need to experience classics like Rock Around the Clock from Bill Haley and the Comets or Runaway by Del Shannon? They're both there. It's always a good time to rediscover how good this oldies-themed soundtrack is. Number 12. Singles. Just as the Crow soundtrack exemplified how industrial and goth were entering the mainstream, the OST for Singles represented the incoming wave of grunge and alternative rock. Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden dominate the conversation. It's a prime example of being at the right place and time for the right film. The songs perfectly pair with all the angst of this rom-com. Having everything from Hendrix's May This Be Love to the Battle of Evermore helps cover the wide spectrum of emotions that come with love.
Just calling to make sure you're okay.
She's okay.
For our money, it's that killer opener of Alice in Chains' Wood that really seals the deal for this soundtrack. Number 11. Trainspotting. A movie as unique as Trainspotting needed to sound unlike anything that came before. Fortunately, its soundtrack is full of hip, cool, and occasionally obscure cuts. While you have popular tunes like Iggy Pop's Lust for Life, there's a nice variety for the rest.
Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career.
Names like Primal Scream, New Order, Pulp, and Lou Reed all speak volumes to listeners with their ears to the underground.
Grim desperation took a hold in his sex-crazed mind.
An additional OST released a year later featured even more music from the likes of David Bowie and Joy Division. The wide berth of songs and topics covered nicely reflect the ups and downs the characters go through. While watching the movie isn't always the most uplifting experience, the soundtrack definitely gives off good vibes. Number 10. A Hard Day's Night. A wave of Beatlemania might hit you as soon as you hear the opening chord from the A Hard Day's Night album.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog.
It'll transport you back to 1964 amidst fans screaming for the magical musical stylings of the Beatles.
Come on, Rex. Come in.
Since A Hard Day's Night is about watching the band get ready to perform, the soundtrack tells the film's story and works as its own product.
I know this love of mine will never die.
It perfectly exemplifies that energetic early pop sound of the Beatles. The tunes are short, to the point, and it's likely that you know every single one of them by heart.
I don't care too much for money. Money can buy me love.
From Can't Buy Me Love to If I Fell and Harrison's I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, the soundtrack is full of true genius.
There is really nothing else I'd rather do, 'cause I'm happy just to dance with you.
Number 9. The Graduate.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me. Aren't you?
When it came time to put together the music to accompany this film of high quality and sophistication, the decision to incorporate a musical duo of equal magnitude was a brilliant one.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
Featuring some of the best remembered and most respected music of Simon & Garfunkel's entire catalog, we could sit on a bus and listen to this album all day long.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
The connection between the film and the folk rock duo is incredibly strong. Whenever we hear The Sound of Silence or Mrs. Robinson, we cannot help thinking of Anne Bancroft seducing her young paramour. Number 8. Top Gun. Nothing gets us more pumped up than this all-time classic soundtrack for one of the most radical of 80s movies. Kenny Loggins hits us with Danger Zone, we get to highlight what may be the best Cheap Trick song of all time, Mighty Wings. The bombastic 80s anthem sets the stage for all the ups and downs of flying.
Take me on your mighty wings. Take me on your mighty wings tonight.
What really makes this soundtrack special is how it balances energetic songs with more mellow cuts. Tracks like Take My Breath Away help add emotional layers to the soundtrack.
Watching every motion in this foolish lover's game.
And while Top Gun Anthem serves as the perfect instrumental closer, it makes us a bit misty-eyed for our fallen friend Goose. Like the movie, this soundtrack will take you on a ride.
Mustang, this is Voodoo 3. Remaining MiGs are bugging out.
Number 7. Guardians of the Galaxy. When the trailers were released for this Marvel Comics film, a couple of thoughts went through a lot of people's minds. Who are these Guardians? That looks amazing, and that's some awesome music. And in all likelihood, the lion's share of viewers walked away from the superhero flick wishing they had their own awesome mix. Fans could tell that each song was added to the film and soundtrack to capture the mood and internal monologue of the characters. Fortunately, viewers could further immerse themselves in the story by getting the album for themselves. Consisting of classic songs from a number of genres, the one thing these tunes had in common is they all really fit their awesome description. Number 6. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
One evening as the sun went down and the jungle fire was burning.
Bringing gospel, folk, country, and bluegrass together in an old-timey fashion, the soundtrack of this Coen Brothers film took the art of putting a unique album together very seriously. Although the adventure comedy's most lasting tune is named after a man of constant sorrow, the album is a fun ride. No matter what genre of music you love the most, these songs are too universal to not bring a smile to your face.
I'm a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my day.
Winning the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, the quality of the voices and recording helped this film soundtrack take the top spot on the Billboard 200 chart. Number 5. Purple Rain.
She had so many devices, everything and money could buy.
It should come as a surprise to no one that a film starring music maverick Prince has one hell of a soundtrack. But many may not have seen the addition of Morris Day and the Time coming. Since their performance was so catchy and beloved, years later they were brought back to close out the film Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back with the same song and dance moves. Did we also mention this soundtrack features what is arguably one of Prince's best songs? Over time, this soundtrack went on to sell 20 million albums worldwide, with more than half of those sales originating from North America. Number 4. Pulp Fiction. A filmmaker known for his love of classic and foreign films, Quentin Tarantino always liked doing things a little differently.
You could see that Pierre did truly love the mademoiselle.
His choice to forego a traditional score of any sort and use tracks instead was a key factor that helped make Pulp Fiction so revolutionary. Throughout the narrative, the right songs are chosen to accompany the mood and feel of each story. This helps Butch's wild plot feel vastly different from the twist competition.
In the fifth, your ass goes down.
Tarantino put additional effort into the soundtrack by featuring tracks of film dialogue and cutting it down to its purest form. The singular filmmaker also made the soundtracks to Reservoir Dogs and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood shine too. However, Pulp Fiction's music remains some of his finest work. Number 3. The Breakfast Club. One of the reasons the message of The Breakfast Club still breaks through to younger audiences is because of the universal themes the teen characters explore while in detention. But we think the music definitely helps. The track listing to the Smash soundtrack is a smart and well-picked selection of new wave and rock songs. And for variety, it's also peppered with a little bit of instrumental synth score. It feels like all the main characters would blast these tracks to let off some steam. While Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds was justifiably the biggest hit on the album, cuts from Wang Chung, Carla DeVito, and Elizabeth Daily also rock. The big and memorable melodies made this teen movie soundtrack one of a kind.
Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Number 2. Forrest Gump.
Remember what I told you, Forrest. You're no different than anybody else is.
A film spanning decades in the life of a simple man who has extraordinary experiences. Forrest Gump needed a soundtrack that spanned multiple eras of music.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Released as a double album, it featured 32 songs that are synonymous with the unique time frame and events in the planet's history. As such, the music choices served to perfectly cast you in the frame of mind of the world you were seeing on the big screen. Charting within the Billboard 200's Top 100 on its end-of-decade charts, it's safe to say the music of Forrest Gump really spoke to people.
And well, we was like family, Jenny and me.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Saturday Night Fever. When most people think of Saturday Night Fever, a Bee Gees-powered soundtrack will immediately start replaying in their heads. Stayin' Alive, perhaps the group's most noteworthy tune, will forever be associated with John Travolta strutting down a New York street. And that's just one of the tracks we can't stop humming in our heads. Talented acts like Yvonne Elliman make you long for someone before Casey and the Sunshine Band has you putting on boogie shoes. Between the wide range of feelings it captures, its iconic status in pop culture, and its significance to this film, the Saturday Night Fever album will stay alive as a masterpiece for years to come. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.